think she did.
So a lot of people have asked me over the years, there's some guy, I don't know if you still remember him, Jim Gallagher, he used to get here and do all kinds of speeches, and they said, how are you going to possibly beat a Jim Gallagher speech? And I said, I have a plan. Who? You must really be in a rate negotiation. What's going on now? But I thought my plan would be, why don't I have Jim come back and do the speech this year also? So ladies and gentlemen, this is Jim Gallagher.
Hi, everybody. Ted purposely didn't introduce two other people that I want to mention first. One is my work wife for the last 30 years, Diane Florick, who's sitting right here. She helped pick this room. And the other is my partner for the last 44 years, and now husband, John Ryan, who's sitting right here today. I always loved this event because it was a chance to use my two favorite words in the English language. Thank you. And I've also talked all these years about all the great blessings we have. I really want to thank, before I start, Dave Kelly and Ted and John and Bern and Doug and all the team who felt comfortable enough to have me here today, because it's an odd thing to retire and be welcomed back so many times by the team. And I really thank Dave for trusting me with the microphone, with the bully pulpit as I call it, today, and at other meetings too, by the way. I also want to thank all of our great partners. Today, NCC is not in the room. Last week we did this in New York, and I thank them. Our network partners, some of them are sitting with you. We have amazing partners on the network side that help pay for functions like this, although lately we've been able to pay for ourselves, which is kind of good. And our affiliates, not in the room today, are Verizon and Cablevision and the folks we represent, but because of them, Comcast Spotlight today is bigger than it was when I got here 14 years ago. Most of all, though, I want to thank you, our clients. You've trusted us for 14 years. You've trusted me. And it's been amazing. We've had 14 consecutive years of share growth. That doesn't happen in our industry. It doesn't happen for a broadcaster. They celebrate tenths of share point growths. We've had years we grow entire share point growths. And it's all happened because of this great team and because of you, our clients, who trusted us. So I stand on the shoulders of so many people to celebrate that today, and I just want to say thank you very much, because without you, none of this would have been possible. I do have a request today. I have never made a request here before. I'd really like you to join me in accepting and celebrating Ted Pacitti as my replacement. We did an exhaustive search. There was a whole team of us that interviewed folks, and there were really wonderful people we talked to who could have possibly done the job, but I can tell you without exception, Ted was the most qualified person for this job and the best choice. He's smart, he's creative, he's wise, he's honest, he's hardworking, he wants everyone to win, which is huge. He's fair-minded, he's got everybody's back, and you can trust him because I trust him. So please celebrate Ted Pacitti. I may not be at every future event, but I'm praying that all of you will be supporting this great team under Ted's leadership. As you know, this has always been a moment for me since we had a presidential run. A guy named Ross Perot ran for president. He said, when you have the microphone, when you're a leader, you should use it as the bully pulpit. You should do something to move the room. So I've always tried to do that at these events, and I'm going to do a real quick recap of where we've been over the last 14 years, not all of them, but a bunch of them, and then I'll tell you how I'm going to try to tie it together. When I first started this in 2001, it was right after 9/11, and it was I'd moved hotels from the Hyatt that looked out at the World Trade Center, not the World Trade Center, the United Nations building, and I decided it was too dangerous to be near the UN anymore with airplanes flying into buildings, so I moved to a hotel called the Bryant Park Hotel. I came out on a snowy morning. I had to come back to Philadelphia, and as I couldn't get a cab, I took my baseball cap and I put it on my head nice and tight, and I broke the thing on the front so it was flopping in the wind. And I was dragging my suitcase up the street, feeling badly for myself because it was such an ugly day, thinking about the commute home. And as I got a couple blocks up the street, I saw a woman and a dog on a corner, and it was a golden retriever. John and I had just lost our golden retriever that year, so my heart went out for the golden. And the woman was very mad. The dog wasn't moving. The dog was sitting down. And as I got closer, I could see why. The dog wouldn't take this blind lady into the intersection because there was so much traffic congestion, and it was too dangerous for the dog to take this woman into the intersection. So as I got there and put down my bag, other people saw it too, And we helped her through the intersection. The dog then fully cooperated. And it made me think about the journey we're all on. You know, we all think we have the toughest job, the toughest journey. And that year I asked you to think about her journey and how her journey was much harder than ours. One year I talked about moments of joy. I talked about Bert Chapman. He was the marketing director at Trowbridge and Gallagher for a long time. And he was packing up his life in boxes when he was downsizing and looking at ornaments from holidays and thinking about all the moments of joy. And he said to me afterwards, he said, you know what, I was in those moments of joy and never realized I was. And I challenged all of us that year to think about, when we're in moments of joy, be in the moment of joy. You see a lot of them on Facebook if you're connected to me now. Sharing our love. One year I talked about 3 amazing women in our business who had passed away, suddenly to all of us. One was at NCC in New York coming back from a ski trip, one was at Harmon. And I talked about to a person, everyone loved these people. And they'd say, wow, she was so wonderful, I loved her. But I thought about it and I thought, how many of us ever told those people, those wonderful women, we love them? So I challenged all of you that year to think about a person you go back to the office and say, I love you too. Not, I'm in love with you, but I love you. And what a cool thing to be sitting that morning at the Rittenhouse Hotel. No, it was the Ritz Hotel that year. And all of our hands raised to the heavens with God looking down, thinking about all the people we were going to say we love them. One year I talked about Michael Nutter, our new mayor, and how he just challenged Philadelphia to smile at each other more, to say hello. He passed people every day. Many times we don't even acknowledge them. I thought that was cool. I've always thought leading with a smile in life is a great way to go. One year I talked about life's mysteries. You know, there's 2 tracks, the good track, the bad track. There's plenty of stuff in the news even today. It's the bad track, but there's also wonderful things in the news every day, the good track. You need both to pull you forward. I talked about getting satisfied. One year I shared what Dave Kelly had us trained with in our management team called Mindful Collaboration, and how everyone can't win every argument. We have to get satisfied and sometimes in life move forward. One year I talked about finding the power inside of ourselves. I talked about Starlight Express and Andrew Lloyd Webber. He wrote the show for his kids. It was a love story, but he wanted them to understand that even as technology changed and trains were coming along that were no longer steam, they were now electronic trains and diesel trains, that the power to win the race isn't about the kind of engine you got, it's about the heart and what's inside of you. And so I was particularly unpleased that year with what was going on in Washington between Congress and the president, and I was pointing out that the power to get the change done in this world is in us, not in somebody else. And I asked us to think about that. In 2012, my observation was, I'm blessed, we travel the world. This is still the greatest place to land. After 2 weeks in Argentina last Tuesday, and the orange juice tastes normal here, and everything's sort of normal here, it's the right place to be when you come home too. And that year I also talked about the grown-up Christmas wish, no more lives torn apart, the wars would never start. And then last year, I thought I had iced it, it was done. I took on a big one, change and the meaning of life. And I thought I wouldn't be doing this year, so stay with me. I talked about change, it's always happening. We don't always realize it, you know, we're in it right now. It's very inelegant. It's something that human beings don't like to do. We resist change, but it's something we have to do. And then I read you all kinds of quotes from great presidents and great sports coaches and great leaders of great companies. And the one thing we have to do if we're going to be successful is change. So that was sort of like your cue that maybe Gallagher was about to make a little change. And this is a change. This is a big change. It's not always an easy change. And then I also talked about the meaning of life, not to be confused with happiness, although there's evidence that you can't be happy without meaning. And I talked about a guy named Viktor Frankl in 1942, a Jewish psychiatrist and neurologist who had amazing change when the knock came on the door and the Nazis took him and his pregnant wife and his mom and dad to concentration camps. And remember, concentration camps weren't death camps. They were there to break the spirit, to break you down as a human being, to have you die from giving up hope. So when he got out of the concentration camp at the end of the war, he discovered his wife and baby were gone, had died, and his mom and dad were gone. And he sat down and in 9 days wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And the bottom line of the book basically is, to have meaning in life, you have to have meaning, something bigger than you to live for, something you think about that's bigger than just yourself. You know, it could be the career you're going back to, it could be the loved one you're convinced will be alive and waiting for you. It's something bigger than you. So last year was about change and the meaning of life, and I thought I was done. This year, I was just going to go back, honestly, and pick my favorite. And you probably could guess, even standing here, what my favorite would be. I think it would probably be the new Pope's favorite. It would probably be a lot of the folks in the room's favorite. Michael Espy, who signs every note with peace. It's his word for love. But I was watching videos at the airport going to Argentina a couple weeks ago, YouTube videos. And Jim Carrey, the comedian, has an amazing graduation speech on there. He gave it at a school called Maharishi University of Management, MUM is the short for it, in Fairfield, Iowa, of all places. And he talked about his dad. He talked about his career, taking risks, finding happiness, and having a fulfilling life. And it was interesting because his father wanted to be a comedian too. And his father took the safer way out by becoming a financial analyst. And he worked for a big company, was convinced he'd have a great pay his whole life and have retirement when the company retired him someday. And he got laid off when the company was downsizing. And he realized his dad had never fulfilled his dream. So he talked about how he lived his dream and how he made it successful for himself in life to be a comedian. And here's two quotes that are really huge for me. He said, "The effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is." I have always believed that. The effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. He also said later in the speech, "What is left of you is what is in your heart." So I think it all really kind of ties together. The journey, the moments of joy, the change for the better. Oh, I didn't do Wicked again. I can't believe I forgot Wicked, my favorite one. I have this thing about skipping Wicked. When I turned 50, that year I talked about Wicked, and I talked about how it's a story about discrimination. You know, a woman of one color skin and another color skin. It started out they didn't like each other. They gained respect for each other. They became friends. But to me, it was a whole lot more than that. It was a story about we all are changed in life because we knew each other. You know, we're changed for good, whether we like it or not, because we know each other. The challenge in life is, are we changed for the better? So anyhow, I think it all ties together. The journey, the moments of joy, the change for the better. Lead life with a smile, which I've tried to do. Life's tracks, you gotta have both. Getting satisfied, finding the power within us, change, the meaning of life. What is left of you is what is in your heart. It's love. And I gotta tell you, I've always felt it back from you. I hope you felt it from me. I wanna really thank you for an amazing 14 years. From all of us at Comcast Spotlight, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and health and happiness in 15 and forward. Take good care, everybody. Enjoy lunch. Thank you. Thank you.